All right, everybody. Today we got a special guest who's seen just about everything that college football can throw at you, from multiple coaching staffs, different quarterbacks. This is a guy that's been through it all. He's earned a scholarship as a walk-on at UCLA, played in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Hudson Habermehl, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So when you think back to your first moment at UCLA, like what does that mean to you? Now that you're preparing for the NFL draft, like that's huge.
Yeah, it's all pretty surreal to be honest. Stepping on campus so long ago, and kind of going through everything I have at UCLA, seeing how the landscape of college athletics, especially college football, has changed. It's crazy to think back how long ago I was there. I'm stepping on campus as a true freshman and kind of being in that program for so long and meeting so many different people. I mean, if you think about it, I've had hundreds of teammates that have gone through that program, transferred in, transferred out. So I've made pretty amazing connections, and I'm really honored and thankful for everyone I've come across there and my whole experience at UCLA.
Yeah. When you look back on that freshman version of yourself that came in, like what would you say you've grown the most in? Like,
Yeah, I think maturity, to be honest, and I think that is the most common answer you'll hear from guys. Just because when you think about getting to college, I mean, some guys get there at 17. I was 18 at the time, um, and you come in with this freshman class, and you all kind of grow close because you're the same age, and then some guys transfer out, some guys go to the NFL, but you stay connected with them, and it's fun seeing how everyone's changed maturity wise. But I think maturity has definitely been the biggest thing I've grown. I mean, obviously, physically, I've grown a lot just because of when I stepped on campus, I was 186 pounds in my first weigh-in. So I was very underdeveloped, but I think maturity is definitely the biggest thing I've seen for myself, and I think others would say the same.
yeah. And then does this off season, obviously it's going to feel different, but is there anything different like your preparation, during the regular college season versus like now preparing for the draft?
You know, it has been a bit weird just because I'm so used to this same program where you finish the season, you have a couple weeks off, and you come back and you have that winter program where you are still in school and you still have meetings, and at the same time you're either learning playbook or getting some extra routes with the quarterbacks to work on connections. So taking that aspect out of it has been a bit of a weird transition, but I will say it's been really cool focusing strictly on football because if you think about it, you take away school and you take away the aspect of really everything football and you turn into kind of a track athlete for pro day and stuff like that, which is a bit of a switch up. But once you kind of get over that hump, now I'm back in kind of football mode, staying um, football shape, and you want to kind of clean up anything that your game can improve on, or you're going to maintain some stuff. So obviously strength, but in the aspect of being a tight end, you want to still work on blocking as much as route running. So you don't want to lose any of that because I will say the last couple months when you're training for the pro day and it's more event design training, you kind of lose that aspect. So it's nice getting back in the hang of things as far as football training and that type of exercise, really.
What does like your typical daily routine look like? Are you just getting up, working out, film
Yeah.
prep? Like what does that look like for you right now?
So right now, it's you got a lot of free time, and the way I like to manage that is usually so I'm back home in the Sacramento area, and my head coach from high school is still the head coach there. So I actually go out there in the mornings and I'll run routes, do some field work out there, and then sometimes I'll lift with the team, the high school team, just in their weight room right after. And then usually what I do is it's pretty much 2 a day. So I'll do that. I'll come home, do kind of a wind down routine that's really just rolling out any rehab stuff I need, and then some stretching, and then I'll go back to a gym, either one of the commercial gyms around here, or there's this gym out in an area. It's called U Functional, and they have great trainers there. And so I'll do some football related stuff, some plyometrics, obviously some strength stuff, and I try to kind of space it out so I have time to recover in between. And then really, I mean, I get to spend some quality family time because I was gone for the last couple months, so I get to see my grandparents, my parents, and then obviously I'm a big fan of film, so I like breaking down film, just watching some of the best tight ends in the league, and then also I can watch my stuff and especially some blocking things. That's the biggest thing I was trying to improve on over the last couple of years, and especially at this moment, because obviously that this next step, blocking, gets even more technical. So that's kind of like the day. It's very spacious. I have a lot of time, but I like to maximize that time with some efficiency and getting as many workouts as possible.
Yeah. When you turn on the film, do you ever look at, former teammates' film? Because you got,
I got a
many
lot.
former teammates from UCLA. They were tight
Sure
ends
do.
that went to the league. So
Sure do. It's funny you ask. I was actually on the phone with Greg Dulcich this morning, and he's one of like my closest friends, but also he's someone I really look up to. And ever since I've been at UCLA, and now he's doing great things in the NFL. So I love watching his film. He's very fun to watch. He's very elusive player. So I like watching his stuff. And what's nice about having a teammate like Greg is I know him personally, so I can watch his stuff, and then I can also talk to him about it on the side. So I can kind of get feedback from him and what he sees in certain situations, because you don't get that oftentimes when you watch any other tight end that you don't know personally. So it's kind of like an advantage, I guess, I have with film.
yeah. And then growing up, who was the biggest influence on you just deciding to play football?
Yeah, really, I think it's my grandfather on my mom's side. His name's Steve Schaefer. He actually coached in the NFL for several years, and he was on the Super Bowl winning staff for the Ravens in 2001 when they had like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all those guys. So he was a big influence. He's actually about 15 minutes away from where I live right now. So growing up, he's always been able to go to all my sporting events. And I started football super late. And he's kind of a big reason I decided to start it in my senior year of high school, because it was really like my last opportunity, as what I saw it, to play a sport that's organized in high school, because I was doing all the other sports, but I was like, my senior year coming up, I got one chance of just trying football and kind of letting him see me play it live at our high school out here. So he's a big reason.
Awesome. And then you came in to UCLA as a walk-on, earned a scholarship,
Yep.
just like Greg. Shout out Greg Dulcich.
Yep, exactly.
What was the hardest part about that grind that people just don't see behind the scenes?
Yeah, I'll start with there's two aspects. The physical aspect, obviously, like I was saying,
Yeah.
186 pounds, and I was a receiver at the time, so it's not like they were like, hey, you need to get to 250 pounds. Like, we need you here to play tight end. They saw me still as a receiver at the time, but at my height, around 6'7", I couldn't be at 186 and play on the field with some of these safeties. And I think the hardest struggle was just trying to put on weight at a fast rate, but at a smart rate at the same time. I think I was intaking nearly 8,000 calories a day at some point, and it wasn't fun. It was like force feeding. A lot of protein shakes, a lot of mass gainer stuff, and a lot of eating. And that definitely was the big struggle. But I will say, at a spot like UCLA, it was easy in that sense, because I had the resources, I had the amazing strength staff, I had the food, obviously was amazing. So I had these things that could help me to make it easier in some sort, because it was really difficult. And then I think the mental aspect that I struggled with was just learning offense. I started playing senior year of high school, and when I got to, and in high school, I wasn't looking at coverages. I wasn't looking at anything. I was just like, okay, is this guy man or zone? That's all I read it. So when I got to college, it's a different game. You got to know coverages. I think that was the hardest thing to kind of understand. I mean, I played Madden, so I knew like cover one, cover two. But when you're on the field and you're trying to see how they're disguising certain coverages, I mean, it was a total different game. So that was difficult. And then when I made the move to tight end, it got even more difficult, because then you got to understand defensive fronts, how defensive ends play at linebackers. So it was kind of an ongoing struggle, but I like to say that I picked it up pretty quickly.
Not a lot of guys, go through as much as you did on the field injury wise. And like we mentioned earlier with NIL and the transfer portal, like what made you want to just stick it out like all these years at UCLA? Was it the teammates, the staff, the culture? Like,
yeah, it was the hardest thing I had to experience, is going through the knee injury, because I was going into my last season and I was ready. I was on the way out of college. I was ready to get out of college. But when that happened, I knew it was going to be an upward battle. I was dealing with just rehab and coming back from that type of injury. And the biggest thing was, I think, proving to people that that injury didn't define my career, and I didn't want to end on something like that. But I also wanted to prove I can come back healthy and even more, I guess, athletic and stronger than I was before. So that was kind of like the big mindset I had going into the rehab, because I knew it was going to be difficult. So I had to have some sort of internal motivation. And when I kind of made that decision, like I want to come back another year, I think a big reason was the teammates I had. Obviously, some of them have been there for quite a long time, just like me, and I really wanted to try to end on a positive note, and I wanted to kind of make UCLA better than it was when I got there. So I think that was a big reason I stuck around, and I'm glad I did. It was obviously a rough season last year. It was difficult, a lot of adversity, but I think there's a lot of positives in that year as far as relationships I built, and I think it was worth it all, really, when I look back at it.
What's one memory from the Rose Bowl you feel you're just always going to carry with you?
Man, I have a lot. I have a lot of good ones. And I guess that's what comes with playing at UCLA for so long.
Yeah.
One of like the biggest, and I'm sure you can also agree with this, is I think that win in 2021 when we beat LSU at the Rose Bowl, I wasn't even playing. I was on the sideline that whole game, but I was so like embraced in it. It was a pretty cool experience, especially when you have a team coming in at their ranking and you kind of upset them. I will say though that we played Fresno State the next week, or we had a bye week after that, and obviously Jake Hayner had a legacy game and kind of ruined our momentum. So that kind of killed, I guess, the momentum we had from that game. But I will say that game itself, I mean, the Rose Bowl, I think there was 80-something thousand. And when the Rose Bowl's packed, it's a pretty cool feeling. And I want to say that was like really the earliest game at the Rose Bowl where I was like, this is special. Obviously, I had scoring touchdowns and everything at the Rose Bowl was awesome. But I think like a big team like that it's number one over anything. So that was definitely one of the favorites.
Yeah. Let me try. You started like really getting. So I was looking back. I was like, when was his first game where you saw action?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was on the top of your head?
So I played some special teams like
Yeah.
in 2021. Are you counting those, or is it like where I first played?
Like reception, like at tight
reception.
end?
Yeah, it was Bowling Green in 22.
Bowling Green in 2022.
Yep.
Can you name the starting offense from that year, from that game?
Yeah. So obviously, we got Dorian, Charbonnet, Zeke, Mike Ezeki was tight end.
Yeah.
Okay. Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bobo. Was Cam Brown the other wide receiver?
He didn't record a stat. I just have the guys here that recorded a reception
in that game. Okay. Kaz Allen.
Yeah. You got 4 more guys left that caught a pass that game.
4 other guys that caught a pass?
4 other guys.
Wow. Logan Loya?
No.
Logan didn't? Oh, it's probably some running backs caught like a swing pass. I'm thinking.
Yeah, Charbonnet's got one.
Charbonnet's one of them.
1 more running back and 3 other wide receivers. 2 wide receivers.
Keegan Jones.
Keegan Jones.
And then 2 other wide receivers.
1 wide receiver, 1 tight ends.
Oh, Carson Ryan. Carson did. He was a freshman.
1 more guy.
Wide receiver. 1 more wide receiver. This might.
I can give you a hint. He's got a hyphen last name, if that helps.
He's got a Heisman last name.
Hyphen in the last name.
Is it a recent Heisman?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still playing for the team right now.
He is.
Yeah. This is a guy that's still on the roster, I'm pretty sure. I'll give you another hint. The announcer in the press box was he sounded like he was like really proud of himself because he kept saying.
Was it Titus?
Yeah.
No.
That was one of my favorite moments this past year where the announcer guy would just like have a kick out of himself. He'd just be like, Nico Yama Liava to Titus Atima Lala.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Titus his last name. That's funny. I know the the press box was probably having, with Nico and Titus. I mean, those boys have some long names. So
He sounded, the guy that was announcing sounded like he was like having fun every time he would say it. It was pretty fun.
oh, I'm sure he's probably proud of himself every time.
Yeah.
Wow, Titus.
That was a lot of. I think it was just because you guys started just to blow him out.
I know.
They
I
just
know.
like we're
Just throw everyone in.
guys in. Yeah.
Everyone get a reception.
Yeah. So tight end. When you look at tight ends, tight end is one of the most versatile positions on the field, especially nowadays. I mean, you see even like Carson Ryan was one of those guys that like they would split out as an H back or like one of those kind of positions.
Mhm.
How do you kind of balance, that blocking aspect versus the receiving aspect when you're going to be on a roster with a bunch of other guys that kind of have those roles?
Yeah, no doubt. So when I switched to tight end from receiver, I think the biggest thing was the blocking aspect, because as a receiver, obviously route running, you kind of have a good idea of it and a feel of it. And the nice thing about playing tight end from going from receivers, you go against these super fast corners, and then you get to kind of have mismatches against these linebackers. So I felt really comfortable in the route tree in the receiving game. But on the flip side, the run blocking was tough. So obviously the biggest focus was learning run blocking, learning how to work with tackles, and also I think IDing certain linebackers. I mean, you have to be a part of the whole process with the center, find out who you have, and then find out leverage. I mean, it's a whole process pre-snap. But I think the biggest thing was I wanted to kind of show my toughness and my willingness to block. And I think at tight end, that's half the battle, is if you're willing to really put your face into a block and drive someone. I think the biggest thing is obviously there's a lot of technical kind of footwork that comes along with blocking in the run game. And so obviously I was working with that, and I had a lot of time to kind of not only learn that, but try to master it. And going into the next level, it only gets even harder. Obviously the defensive line is even bigger, stronger, faster. But on the flip side, you have to have the footwork and the hand placement that allows you to hold the block, sustain the block. And so as a tight end, I was really trying to show myself as a complete tight end that's willing to block, has some tenacity and some grit in the run game. But then on the flip side, I can split out wide. I can use my size and have a mismatch on linebacker safeties in the receiving game.
Yeah. And is there any NFL tight ends? I mean, we talked about Greg earlier. Is there anyone other than him that you watched and you look at as part of that, more versatile blocking tight end versus more of a receiving tight end?
Yeah, I like to compare myself to a guy like Colby Parkinson, who's a bigger body. And it's I was on a scout team when he was playing against us when he was on Stanford, and I had to play as him that week, and it was one of the best weeks of scout team in my life. I mean, because they fed Colby the ball, and in the red zone especially, it would just kind of be jump balls, fades, and as a player, I loved it. I mean, I was like, all right, yeah, the defense knew the ball was coming to me, they still threw it to me, so it was a blast, and got to make a lot of plays, and that's when everything clicked. I was still a receiver at the time, but I was obviously this tall, so they're like, hey, we need a tall guy, so let's just throw Hudson out there. And I think when that week happened, I was like, I can kind of get used to this. And I really like using my frame, boxing people out, and creating mismatches. So seeing what he's doing in the league now, I mean, he's crushing it. And he's a big body guy that can block and also split out wide run routes and use his frame for mismatches. So that's a guy I like to. I mean, obviously, I watch like
great year this year.
Great year. I mean, I love watching like the Kelce's, Kittles. Obviously, I think every tight end is going to watch those guys. But I think Colby's really crushing it and using his body and his advantages to help him. So he's a great guy to watch.
How much of your preparation is film versus getting physical reps? Because I feel like you can watch as much film as you want, but getting out there and actually hitting a guy is different.
100%. I think during season, right? Are you talking about right now or during season?
Just like right now, because I'm sure it's hard for you. You mentioned earlier you're training, up there by yourself.
Yeah.
How much of it is you just want to get there and just start hitting guys?
Yeah. And it was cool. I went to the Hula Bowl in January, so it was cool being able to do that again, because we didn't go to a bowl game, so we had a whole month of December off.
Yeah.
And so that was the longest break I've had since I've been at UCLA, other than COVID, obviously. But
was the longest break I've had. So it was a bit of a weird like thing. You kind of get this itch. You're like, I want to go out there and play. I want to put pads on. I want to experience that again. So having that was nice. But then I take this even longer break from January to now, where it's no helmets, no pads. It's just everything's on air. So there's only so much film during this time that you can watch. I know it's easy during the season because you have preparation, you know what you're watching, you know who you're playing against. So you can watch all the film in the world, and it actually is really helpful. But at this point, honestly, I'm a big fan of going to the field, and they have sleds and stuff in my high school, so I'm able to actually drive something. I mean, it's obviously not going to replicate an actual live block, but it's the closest thing you can get to it. So, I'll get with a local quarterback to get some routes, all that stuff, and try to get as much football like kind of training as I can without actually having a team and everything. So that's kind of been the go-to as much as I'm excited to kind of get back into things, but try to do what I can with what I have. So
What is your favorite route to run on the field? Because I know a lot of people, they feel like they're better at running a dig, a post. What is that for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love running an over route, like a deep over. The reason I like it is because obviously the quarterback can put it out there and allow myself to kind of use my length and go get it. But I like running against man because it's a tough route to guard. I think as a DB, just because you kind of don't know what angle you're going to take it at, because you can as a route runner you can flatten it, you can take it higher. So I really like that. And if the quarterback throws it right in the basket, I mean, there's nothing the DB could do at that point. So I'm a really big fan of the deep over.
Yeah. I asked TJ Harden this question when I had him on a couple weeks ago. When you finally catch the ball, and you just start booking it to the end zone, how do you sort of maneuver that space? Because I feel like that's a really tough thing to do. Like if you don't know if a guy's coming from behind you or
I know,
if he's coming from the side, like how do you sort of learn to just be evasive in the space?
It's natural. It's so instinctual. I remember when I caught in that 2022 season, we played Alabama State the next game, and I caught this 5-yard hitch, and then I turn and no one's near me, and I'm thinking I'm gonna get caught. It's gonna be a bang bang play. I'm gonna catch it, and then I'm just gonna get tackled. I turn, no one's there. It almost feels like you black out, like you don't remember anything until you get back to the sideline. It's a weird feeling. Everything is just instinctual. It almost feels like you're playing backyard football, and you see a guy over there, like, okay, I'm struggling this way. Oh no, there's a guy over there. And it's really like, okay, he's diving at me. I got to kind of jump over his arm or something. It's very instinctual. There's nothing you can really prepare for it, like, because everyone's gonna play it differently. So it's weird, dude. It's a weird feeling, but I'm telling you, it's like you catch the ball and everything just goes like you go tunnel vision. It's like you're just trying to get to that end zone.
TJ was telling me, he was like, I look up at this the video board and I was like, how does that work?
I've never done that. I remember Josh Kelly used to do that, and I'm just like, dude, how do you he's like looking to see how close the guy is behind him, and I don't know how he could do that. TJ's done that though before. That's funny.
Speaking of teammates, what's one piece of advice a coach or a teammate has given you that's really just kind of stuck with you through your whole college career?
That's a good question. I got really close with Jerry Neuheisel over the years, and he was a big help during my whole rehab process. He would drive me to rehab, all this stuff, and so I was close with him before all this injury stuff, but I grew really close with him over the years, and especially this last year. He always had, because his dad Rick was obviously a head coach, so he always had these cliche coaching tidbits. And I'll say that to his face. Yeah, I would say that to his face. But he actually was really, really touching, because I used to, I think, overanalyze the game of football and overcomplicate it at times myself. He would honestly, it's not that crazy advice, but he would just tell me, dude, treat it like you're playing backyard football and just have fun, because I started taking fun aspect away from it. And it's crazy because you wouldn't think someone telling you and reminding you that you need to start having fun again would actually work, but it actually did, because there was points where I wasn't really having fun. I was doing all this preparation, I was doing all this work, and I was overcomplicating everything, and it was kind of taking the fun away from it. And at the end of the day, like, I love the sport of football, and what every game, every practice, it should be fun. Obviously, it will be hard, but it should be fun. And so he was a big reason that he kind of made the dark spots of, especially last season, kind of light up and kind of give everyone a purpose, especially myself. So I thank him a lot for that, and he knows that too. So he was a big help this year, and obviously for our team, but myself personally. So we still stay in touch, and he's I'm wishing him the best at Northwestern as quarterback coach for
Yeah.
sure.
It was really crazy to see that, like, as soon as UCLA got all that, like, national media coverage, like, he was the spotlight of it.
I
It was
know.
really awesome. Like, I mean, they never decided to cover UCLA at all, but as soon as,
I
like,
know.
you guys went on that, like, win streak, they were like, "Oh, Jerry Newhouse, he's the whiz kid."
Yeah, the wizard. And you know what's funny is people still like the spot I was training at for pro day, and then even at the Hula Bowl, all these people are like, Who's that young blonde guy that you guys were carrying off the field?" Everyone talks about that. And, it was a pretty special like 3 game stretch right there, and it really brought some light back to the team because we were going through it. So it is funny to seeing Jerry because he everyone calls him Mr. UCLA, and then you get all the spotlight. It's like, dude, this guy's living the dream
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. And then you're coming up with more experience than most guys, at this.
Yeah,
You look at Bo Nix. You're the Bo Nix of tight ends right now.
I
Do you
know.
feel
It's
like
like that's a
all
good
that
way to put it. That's a good way to put
you
it.
feel like all this experience, has sort of helped you kind of just be ready and be able to just kind of plug and play like into an NFL offense as of right now?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think having multiple head coaches, multiple offense coordinators, multiple tight end coaches, I think that all helped me too, just because the game at the next level in the NFL is all about being able to be coachable and to learn new playbooks, all this stuff. So I think that's going to help me. Obviously, I started football a little late in my career. There's a lot of guys that start in Pop Warner when they're younger. So I was kind of late to the party when it comes to learning the game of football. But I think my time in college has really helped me develop and be ready for the NFL as far as learning an offense and learning techniques that a new coach wants you to, because I've been through it at UCLA. I mean, I've learned 3 different offenses, and then I've had multiple position coaches cycle through and out. I honestly, yeah, like that whole plug and play aspect. It's like, okay, you go here, you can learn the offense here. You go here, you learn the offense there. Like it's kind of an advantage, I guess, in my case. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
And is there anything you've added to your game recently that you're excited to show the teams?
Yeah, I think especially at the Hula Bowl, the biggest thing I wanted to showcase was my route running ability. I was in line next to the tackles a lot this year, blocking, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was just used as a different role this year.
Yeah.
And that actually, there was a silver lining to that because I'm able to showcase my blocking because I was seen as a receiving tight end, obviously coming as a
Mm.
receiver. And I wanted to showcase kind of my toughness in that aspect. So this season actually gave me the opportunity to do that. But on the flip side, I didn't get to run as many deep routes, showcase my routing ability. And I didn't want people to think my injury on my knee was limiting my route running ability. So when I
Yeah.
went to the Hula Bowl, I was like, okay, I really need to showcase like the knee's healthy, I'm healthy. I feel like I moved better than I did before the injury. So let me showcase that. And I think I did that. We had 1-on-1, 7-on-7, all that good stuff. So that was the biggest focus. And going into this process, especially at like my pro day and whatnot, I was like, I really want to run routes that NFL tight ends run, because all these offenses, they run different certain schemes, but at the end of the day, there's very similar routes in every offense. So I made sure to pick and choose which routes they want to see, and I wanted to showcase like, hey, like my knee's not a limiting factor. I feel good.
Ready to
So
go.
exactly, ready to go.
Yeah. And then being there, UCLA through everything, obviously, I'm sure you were taking up sort of a veteran leadership role.
Yeah.
What does leadership look like to you, for, leading other guys on the team or in your position room?
Yeah. I think there's multiple ways to lead. Obviously, you have the vocal leaders, and I think a lot of this comes naturally to guys that can lead vocally, raise their voice, and kind of get a message across. But then I think there's a way of leading through your actions. And some guys that I knew at UCLA were really good at this were one like Zach Charbonnet was really good at this. He doesn't talk much, but he was really good at kind of commanding the room by following him in what he does every day. He works his ass off. And then you got guys like Latu who didn't talk much, but he would work obviously hard. I mean, he's crushing it too. So I kind of got to see how those guys work. I would say my way of leading was definitely by actions as well. There's definitely a time and place to use your voice as a leader, but it has to be genuine. It has to be authentic, and it has to come across in the right manner. So there was definitely a time and place when I used my voice, but I think every day, day by day, I would like to show the younger guys, especially in the tight end room, but also across the whole team, like, hey, like kind of invite them, hey, let's go get some extra work. Let's go do this. And just that itself kind of instills this work ethic for them at a young age that I know I had leaders like in Devin Asiasi when I was younger, Chase Coda. I had all these guys that were just like always welcoming me. So I wanted to kind of give back to how those guys gave me when I first got there.
Yeah. And then who's one teammate you feel like next year that UCLA Bruins fans should be looking out for, that's on the rise?
Yeah, it was cool seeing those guys when I went back to campus in March. It's crazy. With the transfer portal and NIL and all this stuff, we have a whole new team. It seems like half the guys on the team
I know.
So I was trying to get to know somebody. I'm like, I've never seen this guy before. Like, I'm only gone for a couple months. Like, what's going on? But they brought in some really good players. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Nico. I think he's obviously a great player, but I really do think he gets kind of the rep he doesn't deserve. He is the most humble dude, and he's one of the hardest workers I've been around. I didn't realize how young he is when he first got there. He's obviously going to have a great year. Jalen Woods, he's one of the linebackers at UCLA, and he is very sneaky, athletic. He's a great player, and I got to go against him a lot last year, but he's one of the guys. I think he's been there for 5 years straight, so this is going to be his 5th year. His last year, I think. And he's a local kid. He's from St. John Bosco, and I've only seen him get better and better, so I think he's going to have a great year.
Who's one teammate that you feel like is the funniest that you've been around?
That's an easy question. Maliki Mataval, for sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Another tight end.
I'll tell you what, and I'm not being biased because I'm a tight end, but these tight ends, and I think a lot of guys can agree with this, but these tight ends, they are, I guess it's a universal thing, but these guys are funny. They're like comedians. So everywhere I've gone, I've met a tight end. I'm like, yeah, this is clearly a tight end. He's hilarious. But Mo was, and I talk to Mo almost every day. He's one of my best friends, but also funniest people I've ever met. So he's like a comedian to me.
Yeah. Now we have some fan questions from Bruins fans. I never know if it's Bruins fans.
Yeah, both work.
Bruins fans. What's something about being a college football player that fans don't see?
I think the time management aspect. There's a lot behind the scenes. Obviously, we practice, we play games, obviously like that. But there's so much school aspect, film, and then really like there's times where you feel like you don't have much social life. I know there was times where, especially during midterm and final season for school, it was late nights, early mornings. And I think now it could be changing now with NIL and transfer portal, but I felt like I was really a student before an athlete at times. I was up late studying, doing projects, and I don't think a lot of people kind of realize that at times because they just see us out there on the field as football players, which is what they should. If I was a fan watching a game, I'm not going to be like, oh, I wonder how he's doing in school. Like, how's his
degree is.
Yeah. So I don't blame him at all. But I didn't realize how much academics there was involved in college athletics until you get thrown right in it. I did summer school every year, and I think it was big, like a big kind of reason. I went to UCLA because it was really my only opportunity. But when I got to UCLA, I wanted to make sure I took academics seriously. And I think a lot of the guys that go to UCLA understand that and do that. But there was a lot of hours spent outside of the football aspect, the physical aspect, that I had to kind of make room for homework, projects, all that stuff. So that's the biggest thing. It's like a full-time job, really. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to relax or unwind after training?
That's a good question. I'm a big fan of I got in this habit of, ever since I hurt my knee, I got in this habit of unwinding by stretching and rolling out. And I would just put in some AirPods, play some music, and do that. And sounds kind of crazy, but like that was my biggest focus was flexibility, mobility, and I actually found some peace in it. But before injury, I would have told you like I'm gonna watch a show or play video games. But post injury, it turned into like some sort of rehab, which is like my life revolved around rehab. But I will say there was some peace in it, and I really unwinded, just throwing some music and kind of just relax for a little and stretch, loosen up. So it was a interesting way, but I actually made a little habit of it, and after every practice, workout, anything like that.
Yeah. What does your nutrition slash calorie intake look like? I know you mentioned earlier when you were trying to bulk up, it was like 8,000. Like, what does that look
Yeah,
like for you right now?
right now, I I'm at a steady like 250 pounds, which is where I want to be, and I actually don't track calories, any of that stuff, but I am very picky with what I eat. Um, no processed foods, no sugar. I haven't drank soda in 8 plus years, 9 plus years. Uh, but it's just obviously like a lot of protein. So what I'll do is I'll just make a bunch of ground beef, and it sounds so bland, but just a bunch of ground beef, and then I'll throw a tortilla and just make my own little burritos and stuff. But it's kind of nice being where I am because I just have to maintain my weight. I don't no
Yeah.
longer
Gain
force
really.
feed myself. So
It doesn't have to be good. It just works, you know?
exactly. Yeah, I just have to intake it. I have to get it in the system. But I would say where I'm floating right now with my calorie intake is probably 4 to 5,000 right now.
What's something you wish fans knew but often get wrong about the UCLA football program or players?
That's a good question. I feel for UCLA fans the last couple of years. I mean, I've been there for so many years, and I know their frustrations. And I think the biggest thing that I wish that I wish I knew that fans would know about us is we hear them and we feel them, and we like, especially UCLA. When you think of a school like UCLA, it's a prestigious school, play in the Rose Bowl for every home game. I mean, a school like that should be on top of the football world every year. You would think. I mean, the location, support, all this stuff. And so the UCLA fan base deserves better for sure. And we understood that. And it wasn't like we were, obviously, no one's going to try to have a bad season, but we were doing a lot every offseason, whatever we could to give back to the community of LA as far as give a winning record, and provide as much as we can because that fan base deserves so much. I mean, there's diehard fans, and the community of LA. I mean, it's a giant outreach, and I think when UCLA football's at the top, it just makes everything in that area better. So
Yeah.
we were trying every. I mean, I can't obviously make any more impact because I'm done there. My eligibility's up, but I promise you, we were trying every year. We were doing what it took, what it takes to be at the top, but it just fell short for some of the years. And I guess I say I apologize for that, but I think UCLA football is on the upbringing. I met Coach Chesney. I really like what he's about, and they have some studs on that team right now. So I think there's a bright future for UCLA football, and I'm looking forward to watching these guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone else
Can't
is
wait
too.
to see.
Yeah.
What's it like playing within various coaching systems, like blocking versus being used to stretch the field?
Yeah. I got this question asked a lot. I met with some NFL scouts, and they asked that. I mean, it's like you're used multiple ways in multiple offenses. What's that like? And coming from being a receiver, and you're literally just used out wide to stretch the field, I was used to that. And then being moved to tight end kind of makes up your whole role. But as a tight end, my role, it felt like every year was changed. And I think that only helped me develop. Like I was saying, I think the plug and play aspect is my advantage going to this because I've been used in multiple roles the last however many years with different coaching staff, different offense coordinators. But it is different. I will say mentally, it can kind of take a toll on it because you're so used to, let's say last season, I was used as a receiver. Like they threw me the ball this many times. This year, I'm in the run game more often. Like, what's going on? You have these questions rise, but at the end of the day, I think the tight end position is a selfless position. So
Yeah.
you kind of just shut your mouth in a way and just kind of put your head down and work. And I love that mentality. I love that aspect. It's like a blue collar mentality. And I was a big fan of that. So it was different. Don't get me wrong. It was different. And I think I got used to it and adapted to it really well. But I think looking back, it's an advantage of mine. As much as I wish I could have ran 5 deep overs a game, it's not how it works. Everything's different. And I had so many studs around me, like the Charbonnets, the Bobos. So everyone's gonna have to play a different role. And I was accustomed to that, and I look back and I kind of appreciate that grind really.
Yeah. What's your favorite stadium you've played in aside from the Rose Bowl?
The Big Ten stadiums are next level. I'd have to say Ohio State when we played at Ohio State, the Horseshoe.
Yeah.
It was a night game too, and I mean they packed it out. It was 104,000 people, and it was definitely the loudest stadium I've ever played at too. So I would say Ohio State. But if let's take it back to the Pac-12 because why not? I was in the Pac-12 too. I would say Oregon Stadium was sweet. I love Hudson. Yeah.
Wrapping us up today, what is something football has taught you that you feel like people can apply to their everyday life?
I think honestly the biggest thing football taught me was more recently with injury. And I know I keep talking about the injury, but this injury really kind of shaped the last couple of years of my life, especially my mindset. And so injuries come with the game of football, but I think leaning into the adversity is something that's uncomfortable, but will pay off in the long run. So I think about that in everyday life. There's a lot of things you aren't comfortable with, things you don't want to go, or you don't want to go in that direction because there's challenges. But I think if you really lean into that, it can kind of change the outlook on your life. And it definitely changed the outlook on my life when I got hurt, and I knew it was going to be a long journey, but I leaned into it. I mean, I embraced it. It was obviously tough, but I truly did love the steps I took in that journey. But I think it paid off in the long run, and I think a lot of people can do the same. And obviously, it doesn't have to be injury; it could be anything in their life. If there's an obstacle they're dealing with that they don't want to kind of attack and go into, they want to kind of go around. I think you should consider going into it and really like pushing yourself through, because I think there's a lot of greener grass on the other side.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along so you don't miss what's coming next. New episodes are dropping at least bi-weekly with more players, draft prospects, and guests all offseason. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at FootballByNico. And if you made it this far, share the show with someone who loves LA football. Appreciate you for listening.